And you didn't get to D, she said, right? Okay. So Carmen has up to $15 to buy seeds. Vegetable seeds cost $1.50. Flower seeds cost $2. Did you use X and Y, or did you use other letters? You used X and Y. Did you use X for vegetable seeds and Y for flower seeds? And you set up the equation that 1.5 times X, because that's how much vegetable seeds, plus 2 times Y, because those are your flower seeds, has to be less than or equal to, because she has $15, 15. Now, determining two ways she can spend up to $15 is really easy, right? She could buy one package of each. She'd still have lots of money left over. She could buy 3 of these and 2 of those and have lots of money left over. Okay? So there's lots of different possibilities here for part B. Can she buy 5 packages of vegetable seeds and 4 packages of flower seeds? This would be, if I put a 5 in for X and a 4 in for Y, what do I get? What did you get last time? 1550. Can she do that? No. Unless she's like smiles really nicely at the cashier and says, "Pretty please, please," but probably not. Okay, so we can't buy that. What is the most she can spend? Well, to really help us see this, it's going to be nice to draw a graph. Now I'm going to change this part A. Let's change this into y equals mx plus b. Let's move the 1.5 over to the other side. Let's divide everything by 2. Do I have to flip the sign? Not this time, because I'm dividing by a positive number. So we're going to get y is less than or equal to 1.5 over 2. Are you okay if I change that to 3 over 4? And it's still negative. Are you okay with that? What did I do? I doubled both of those.
Why?
Because I don't like having decimals in fractions.
You're allowed to do that?
Sure, it's just simplifying fractions. 3 over 4, if you divide by 2, divide by 2. 1.5 over 2. But that's not really a good fraction because there's decimals in it. So if I'm allowed to divide both things by the same number, I'm allowed to multiply both things by the same number. This is part of D. We're going to graph it to figure out what makes sense. And 15 over 2 is 15 over 2. You can think of that, if it helps you graph, as 7.5 if you like. I can scroll up. So we're going to graph this line. We're going to start at our y-intercept at 7.5. I'm going to pull out some graph paper actually for this one. Yeah, this is pretty. Ooh, nice. Oh, that just goes there. You can go for water. Does everybody have everything right now? I'm going to add a new page and start that graph paper on there again. Okay. The equation that we had was y is less than or equal to 3/4 x plus 7.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't like this graph paper. I'm going to make my own graph paper. There we go. Oh, isn't that pretty graph paper? I like it. Because then I can draw my own axes on there. Wow. So if I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7.5 would be my y-intercept. Going 2, 4, 6. Again, show some labels so that you can see where that would be. And my slope is 3/4, right? Negative 3/4. Let's just write out the equation here. It was y is less than or equal to negative 3/4 x plus 7.5. Means my rise over run is negative 3/4. If I do my rise first, I can go down 3, 1, 2, 3, then over 4. That would get me to this point. I could do that again, go 1, 2, 3 down, and over 4 and get me another point. Solid line or dotted line? Solid line. And we're going to shade under it. So I'm going to draw. How did I do? Not the greatest. No. Oh, there we go. There is my line. Arrowheads on the end of it is a solid line. And according to the shading, we would say shade under it. Now, before we shade under it, I want to talk about the context of this question. When I go this way, can you see that my x values, which was, x were vegetable seeds? Those are my veggies. Could I buy -1 veggie seeds? That doesn't really make sense, does it? Could I buy negative flower seeds? No. So we can't really shade into the negatives here. We can't really shade into the negatives here. In fact, the only thing that makes sense for shading is the triangle, right? Also, technically, I've shaded that small triangle. If I wanted to be really technical in this question, can I buy 1.5 packages of vegetable seeds? What do you think they would do at the store? It's like, I'm going to just get 1, 2, 3. You rip open a package. You say, I'm just going to take half of this package. What would the teller say to you at that point? They'd be like, what are you doing? How much for a sip of milk? You open up the milk, take a sip, and that's all I want. Right? So now I'm shading inside, but that doesn't make complete sense either because you can't buy half a package. In fact, the only thing that would make sense are these dots. So we can fill in all the dots that make sense. I know, crazy, eh? This would be technically the best answer in this case. There could be dots on the, no, that dot wouldn't be there. Dot, 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 dot. You get the idea. These ones that are on the line, this one, that one can't be a dot either, can it? Because that's in between. So I'm going to erase that dot and erase this dot. Are there any dots that are right on the line? Is there any ways that she could spend exactly $15? There's a dot right here. Could she buy all of the one seed or no? No, that one's in between too. Okay, because if we look at our original equation, it was 1.5x plus 2y is less than or equal to 15. Can you think of a nice number on there that works out? X is 10 and y equals 0. Oh yeah, there is that point there. So, is that the only one? What happens if x is 2? And y is 6? Okay, that point's right on there. Now if I had drawn it with a ruler, even more accurate, we would see some of these points. And now that I have a nice point on there, what's my slope? I could go down 3/4. That's another nice point on there, down 3 over 4. Those are ways to spend exactly $15. How close can she get and still get change? Well, there's a lot of points that are really close to the line that she could still get change. Those ones there and there? Because you can't, if I shaded the whole thing, that would indicate that this is possible in between, which would mean 3.5 packages of vegetable seeds and 2.5 packages of flower seeds, which really isn't possible.
So you just dot it?
You just dot it. I wouldn't, you know what, I'm not gonna deduct marks if you would shade it, and then as long as your answers show that you understand, okay? I would want you not to shade the negative parts, okay? The only way you can shade negative parts is if you brought your own vegetable seeds from home with a receipt and return them, because then you could get some money back. So then maybe negatives do make sense. Easy. No, there won't be a bonus mark. So the idea being here is there's actually 3 inequalities. If we were going to shade just the triangle, there's 3 inequalities happening. We're graphing this one saying it has to be less than or equal to this. We're also graphing only where x is bigger than or equal to 0, and we're only graphing where y is bigger than or equal to 0. So just to practice this, we're going to go to the homework and do 13 together. Let's just do 13. Let's do 13. A, B, or C? Which one do you want to do? Okay, we'll do B. For 13B. So first of all, B is not in y equals mx plus b form. So I'm going to start by moving the 2x over. Notice subtracting doesn't flip the sign. But now when I divide everything by the -3, my sign will flip. I'll have 2/3 x, and 6 divided by -3 is -2. This one's a nice one to graph because our y-intercept is a whole number. I'm going to draw my grid lines right on here. We know that our y-intercept is -2. We know that our slope is 2 over 3. So that means a rise of 2, a run of 3. Another point would be here. Or you could go down 2 and over 3 this way. And would we draw a solid line or a dotted line? That would be a dotted line. So there is the line y is greater than 2/3 x minus 2. I'm not going to shade yet because we also have to do for x is bigger than or equal to 0. How do I graph x equals 0? Is that a vertical line or a horizontal line? Right? Even though this is your x-axis and your x-axis is horizontal, the line x equals 0 is right here. I'll draw that one in red. The line y equals 0 is your horizontal line. I'll draw that one in black. And this one will be a solid line as well, right? Because it was y equal to 0. Now, according to this, we need to shade when x is bigger than 0, where y is less than 0, and where our line is greater than 2/3 x minus 2. Some of you will get good at this and be able to see that the final answer, I'll shade the final answer, and I want you to think about it. Let's do crayon. Or should we use something special? Let's do it in this psychedelic colors. Yes. So we want x bigger than 0, y less than 0, and our line greater. It's going to be this little part in here. Ooh. That would be the shaded part as the final answer. Can you see that I've done everything right? Am I graphing above my line? Yes. Am I graphing bigger than x equals 0? Yes. Am I graphing less than y equals 0? Yes. Right here it says x greater than or equal to 0. So now the question is, if this is hard to see directly, maybe you can't see that that's the answer right away, this is a way that you can find that answer. So I'm going to just erase what we found as our answer, and I'm going to shade my green with a green crayon, my red with a red crayon, my black with a black crayon. And if we want to shade, going to our green crayon first, for our line, which we drew as a dotted line in green, we need to shade above or below? Above. So with my green crayon, I shade above. That's pretty. For my red line, which was my x equals 0, x greater than 0, would that be to the right of it or to the left of it? With x1s, you have to go right or left. It's going to be the right. So I'll take a red crayon and I'll shade to the right. And finally, with my black crayon, do I need to shade above or below the line? Below. Where's the only place that all three are shaded? That is a self-portrait. You don't recognize me? Oh, I do have a nose. There we go. Single eyebrow? Maybe. My eyes are so happy all the time.